Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the Courtside Pod. We're very excited to be launching this new project with Cultura Sports. We've been wanting to do some work in English for our English audience, and we're very happy to kick off this new project with a very special guest. We're launching a new podcast, and just a little bit before we really get into introducing our guest, just a little bit of who we are and what we do and why we do it. Of course, Cultura Sports, we're all about the culture of sports, not necessarily what happens on the field or on the court, but more so everything that surrounds what's going on in sports. Everything related to sports culture from, the hobby, the sneakers, the fashion, just everything outside of the court or the field. So that being said, that's kind of what we focus on when we talk about all these different topics with our guests. And what better guest to have in our very first episode than a dear friend to me, one of my closest friends, none other than Guatemalan striker Darwin Lom. How are you doing, Darwin?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me, and always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. We've had the chance to kind of spend the weekend together this past weekend. We're filming this on a Sunday. A lot happened. A lot has happened. We went to SneakerCon yesterday. Of course, as you guys are going to see, sneakers are like a recurring theme here because we're all very into sneakers. What was your thoughts on that? You were telling me that you've never seen something, that big or that touches on like what sneakers really are as a hobby, as a business. What is your overall thoughts on what happened in SneakerCon?
Well, I think first things first. I think it's crazy to me how it's like a business. It's a business to, flip shoes. I'd never thought that would actually be a thing until recently that I got into shoes, and just it was a great experience just basically because of like the different world, I would say, that I live in, I guess you could say. I'm always in, the sports side, living, training every day, gym here, fitness here, and it was nice to just get out of my comfort zone and to experience something like that. Everyone was really nice. I think that was a big part of it. I think the crazy thing for me is just how much like people will pay for these things and like how much information people know for like different type of shoes, like the little details, and seeing people trade and like the way they inspect shoes is just, it's different. But it was really actually a really cool experience. I would definitely go again, and next time with a little bit more knowledge and obviously with more money, obviously.
Yeah. A little more cash to actually do stuff.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's super interesting because, and this is what makes me so passionate about sneakers personally, is just all the backstory that goes into a shoe. Like all these shoes, shoes are something so trivial that people just wear on their feet, but there's such a bigger story behind all of them. We were talking about Kobe earlier because we had the Kobe book right over there. Kobe sneakers. Like if you were to think about like everything that went into designing that shoe specifically for him, like there's such a backstory with like his career, who he is, his person, and that drives hype, which is also something that we were talking about yesterday. How hype drives the market these days. So it was just like a wild experience overall. It felt kind of surreal to see everything that was going down, and it was funny kind of seeing you there because you did seem like a little out of place. Like a few times he would say like, "What's going on here? Like what's up with this or what's up with that?" But yeah, so it's been a fun weekend, and we've been able to talk about a lot of things that I wanted to touch on today. Because again, the whole point of this is to kind of bridge that gap between athletes and the fans. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, most of the time, as fans, we kind of have athletes in like this pedestal that, yeah, they do pretty awesome things, but at the end of the day, the athlete is just a guy like you and me, and that's what we want to bridge. So hopefully by doing these interviews, we can kind of bring the people a little insight into who you are as a person, more so than who you are as a player. Yeah. So I've had the pleasure of knowing you for some time, and I was curious into getting into that topic of how you decided to get into pro sports. What was that coming to Jesus moment that you had where you were like, you know what? I actually want to do this for a living.
It was difficult. I'm not the ordinary guy or kid that grew up playing the sport, since I was like 5 years old. Obviously, and where we come from, in our small towns, pueblos, we play just to play because that's just in our nature. It's just in our blood. It's just in our genes. It's
And let me pause you right there just to clarify a little bit. Darwin is from Guatemala and I'm from El Salvador. So we had a very similar upbringing in the sense of what sports means to our communities and our people and our countries. I feel like unless you visit, you never really understand what it's like over there. It's literally life or death. You know, when your favorite team is playing, business is shut down. Like everybody's watching the game. So sports, even though sports may not be monetarily the biggest market to work in, it's definitely the most important one because people really, really are passionate about their sports. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing because it brings people together. But going back to your story.
It's like you said, it's beautiful, but it's also, I've made some great memories, but I made some memories that I will never forget. Obviously not so great, but like you said, it's like a life or death kind of situation, especially in countries like ours are tiny and they live off of this, and but yeah, like I was saying, I'm not like an ordinary guy that grew up with it. It's funny how I'm here actually, and I could honestly say it was it's I feel like God put it in front of me, to be honest. I think everything was set in a certain way for my life, and he directed me through it the whole time. I grew up 13 years old, working construction during the summer, making like making big man jobs, like an adult money, so trying to help my mom with my like 5 different siblings, and as a single mom and the older brother, it's just hard, but luckily I had the honor and privilege to meet my best friends right now, and back in Atlanta. And to this day, they're still my closest friends, but their parents were big soccer fanatics, and they ended up actually being really close to my family back in Guatemala. So that was a connection that my mom ended up trusting them. As the older sibling, I was the one that she took care of. Like, obviously, this is my first kid. It's my first kid. I'm not going to let him do this. I'm not going to let... Obviously, that was a little bit tough on me because I wasn't able to do anything I wanted to do. I wasn't able to go out and do this. I wasn't able to, experience the little life that an American boy, a little American kid does. But like I said, my best friend's like family was one of the biggest things that like they introduced the soccer life here in the U.S., at least for me. And from then I just played. Honestly, I just ended up playing just for fun, for my friends. I knew once summer came, back to work. I played in high school. That was the most like fun time in the sport. And then I think it was my last year of high school where I ended up actually getting offers from colleges and interest from like actual like coaches come in and see me play, and at that point I didn't even pay attention to it. Like I said, we come from a different side of perspective of everything, and college wasn't the first thing for me, wasn't on top of my head. But as time went on, my mom spoke to me, and it was something that, as a role model for my little siblings, like something that if I would have done, like it's something that I could say, let's do it all, everyone do it. And as the first one in my family to graduate from college, I feel like very accomplished, and I'm really happy I did that, and I could say that soccer got me through it. But to get to the professional side, I never thought I would like get to that side until basically again like my junior year of college, where I was like, okay, like I actually like I was getting, let's say, like there's this line that you cross, that you play for fun, and that this is meant for you, like this is something that like personally makes you happy. It makes you forget about like the bad things. It just makes you like forget about everything, good, bad, but you're just the happiest on the field. I don't know if you have that feeling with anything else, maybe basketball, maybe like podcasts, maybe,
yeah, and 100%. I understand what you mean, because again, I share that similar side of your story when it comes to the upbringing. When it came to working in sports media, like, sometimes when you're an athlete, you're kind of built different. You know that you're an athlete and you're inherently an athlete, and you can become an athlete, but most of the time your athletes are kind of born, So I was very realistic. I know that I love playing sports. I've played almost every sport in the book, but I knew that I wasn't going to be a pro at a sport. I just knew that. So what was the next best thing for me? Something that I'm really passionate about and something that at least I think I'm really good at. I'm really good at talking. And I was like, okay, how can I combine my passion for sports with all these other things that seem to be very easy for me to carry out? And that's how I decided that I wanted to have a career in sports media. And it's funny, I always tell the story. When I say that to my parents were like, nah, for real. Like, what's actually going to be your career? Because like in the countries where we're from, that doesn't put food on the table, So to say that I want to work in sports, whether it's professional sports or professional media or, all these things, it's kind of like a bad word for parents to hear. Because you're like, but like that doesn't really put food on the table. How about a real career? And I remember I had teachers that said that to me. They were like, how about you do a real career? Like, don't you want to be like a lawyer or something?
Exactly.
And
Think outside the box,
But it was at that moment where I came to college thinking I wanted to study communications because I thought that was very broad and it would allow for kind of like an escape route if the whole journalistic thing didn't go the right way. And but it was once I actually got involved with it that I had that coming to Jesus moment where I was like, you know what? This is what God has for my life as well. Yeah. This is what God wants me to do, and this is the platform that He wants me to build. And so you move forward with it, and we've been able, and I say we because I know that you've done it as well, we've been able to achieve many, many things that a lot of people would have thought we weren't able to achieve. And glory to God for that, but also, it's possible. Yeah. So if anything, in this podcast or in the stories we're sharing, at the very worst, I want people to take away that lesson that even when you're told that you can't do it, these two right here were, living testament that you can. So I'm glad we spoke on that. And I'm also glad that you mentioned the topic of family because years ago, you and I did a quick little interview as well. And one of my questions was, what is your motivation to continue to play soccer even when things get hard, especially as a student athlete? And your answer was your family. And your answer was like, as of right now, I'm the only one in my family who's attended college and going to graduate college. So how is your motivation these days? Obviously your family still plays a big role, but like, where do you find that motivation to, even in the tough times, because it always gets tough eventually. How do you find that motivation to continue to move forward?
So I always say, family is motivation, but I think there's a certain limit to where, as a professional, it comes down to, as sad as it sounds and as bad as it sounds, a lot of these environments now, it's all about business and the business side is taking over more and more of the game. And it's really sad, because you see more and more every day of legends that are retired saying, they can't watch the sport anymore. It's not the same. It's all about the money. The players don't play for the club. They don't play for the shirt. They don't sweat. They don't bleed. They don't. Back in the day, if we pull up a video, people will die. People will put their faces they come out with bleeding. Nowadays, you get a foul, you twist your ankle, you're out. And you're out for you want to be out for 3 weeks, but you're still getting paid millions and millions of euros, not even dollars. But obviously that's the biggest league, but now it's just it's different. I think my mentality is it's really, really strong, and I think that's something that really motivates myself. I motivate myself because if I don't do it, who will? And like I said, my best friends right now. One of them, his family, introduced me to the sport, and now the other one is actually becoming a mental coach. So he's a big part of where I'm at now. I luckily, let's say I've been a professional for 2 years and a half. He managed to live with me for a year and a half. Actually, when I moved, he was there casually, and I just think that's just God put them there. Literally, God put him there. It was insane to me. It was insane to me because this man literally came up to me on a Saturday and be like I walk into his room, his bags are packed. I'm like, why is your bag? Are you cleaning your room? Are you painting your room? What are you doing? He's like, no, I'm leaving. Literally out of nowhere. And I'm like, where are you going? And he's like, to California. And I was like, well, what? He's like, yeah, I leave Monday. In 2 days, literally in 2 days. He just got his stuff, left, had no house, nowhere to stay, no job, nothing. Stayed in his car. Literally I'm very grateful for him, and like just to do that, I think that takes, that takes balls. It doesn't, like, not just anyone can move out of their comfort zone, first of all, or just leave there, like just leave where he was literally born and raised, and just get up and go. But literally a month later, I get a call and, hey, I'm gonna go play in California, and he lives literally right there, like. And out of the whole California, obviously, is big, and we managed to be like not even an hour away. He honestly moved in with me, and like he was just there with me, and it was nice to have that. It was nice to have that company. It was nice to have that person that knew my life, like that knew where I came from, knew me since I was a like 6-year-old kid that didn't know anything about soccer. Like he introduced it to me as well, and he was a baller like back then. Like he was supposed to be like really good, except injuries and all that, But yeah, man, like I think like the biggest thing right now in this side, like now that the business is taking over the sport basically is my mentality. Like I think the mentality is really, really big, and I think the mentality is like the most important thing that someone can have. And you see it on the sports every time. Like people, like players being depressed, players like not wanting to play. Antonio Brown, like obviously, like something's like not going well with him for sure. Like something, but like it's just like you can have all the money in the world, but like if there's something else that the sport has taught me is like your health and your like happiness is not gonna, like, no matter how much money you have, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. But I'm very grateful for the sport, and obviously, if you're gonna work your ass off for something, you want to earn something back, and what's the best motivation for that is money, obviously. Let's not lie to ourselves. But yeah, man, I think like mentality and myself, my girlfriend, like she's really good with like being positive when I'm down. I think that's something that's really important to me as well. But yeah, man, I think that's like it's a lot of things that come into it, but I think the older you get, the simpler it gets. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of, adapting and being able to move around and having that adaptability factor that is sometimes very overlooked, especially in the business of sport, people forget, like you said, it's a business, and you never know when you're going to get traded, when you're going to get, shipped out to a different place. And not only that, because being traded means that you're in, like you have a guaranteed job, it's just somewhere else. But just the factor of having to move around to look for your next job. That is something that is often overlooked, that requires a lot of mental toughness. And speaking of moving around, I wanted to touch on your time with the Guate national team. Because, again, that also requires you to spend extended amounts of time outside of the country in Guatemala. And you have a home there, like, that is your home. Mm-hmm. But, again, you kind of live this life where half of my life is here, half of my life is there. I want to talk about the time that you decided to play with the Guate national team. Of course, you lived a big chunk of your life here in the U.S. What made you say, you know what, I want to play for Guate instead?
It's like, it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't a hard decision for me. It's like, yeah, I'm from here. Most of my life I've been here, but like the world we live in and like the way I grew up in the town I grew in, like I always felt like an outsider, like a, random Hispanic boy coming into this really like nothing but white folks everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and nothing against them. There were some great people, still really close friends, but there was some, I've been into like really big racist arguments. I've been like, threatened, all that stuff, but like, it's just part of life. It's nothing like we haven't seen before in our countries, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think it was more about, like for my family, I think it was more about them being happy of what I've accomplished than me being happy. Like, obviously I was happy, you know what I mean? But like, I wanted to like, how can I say? I wanted them to like feel that I'm trying for like not just myself, like it's something bigger than just me wanting to do this for me. Like, for example, when my first call up came up, like my dad, I couldn't, like I went from one call to another call to another call to another call, and they're just like, what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna want to do it? Like this and that. And like, I just sat there and honestly, like the first thing that popped in my head was, cause my first call was my uncle that I grew up with. He was like my dad, my dad. sadly left me when I was like 4, and obviously his brother took over. He was really close. He lived like next door to us, and he literally took me to my first soccer game when I was little, and he was my first call. And I remember watching the national Guatemalan team in his living room, like big games on TV. And I remember him and me talking about like one day that's gonna be me, like, and like that's the biggest thing that for me, like, it's a big accomplishment for me. And sometimes, like I said, like in this environment where I'm at, it's hard to like, you have to be mentally strong. Like, it's hard to think where I'm at and to feel like I accomplished something. But if I look back, this is what my friend taught me, my mental coach. If I look back and jot down the notes of what I've done, and then just look at everything you have accomplished, it's so much more than just like what you have accomplished for yourself. You don't know who you have an impact on. You don't know like who you basically have saved, from like making the wrong decisions. And I think that's just more than itself than I can explain, to be honest. But I think that was my biggest, like, okay, let's do this. Like, I'm gonna do this, just not for myself. I wanna make kids from my town, the Hispanic kids from this white town that we live in, feel like, believe that they can like do something more than just work in the 9 to 5 factory and work for like people. Like, we're so much more than that. And I'm not the type to just go back to my town and speak up to all these kids. I'm not. I can't do that yet. You know what I mean? But I like to do it from my actions, and I like to do it, and it's honestly, it makes me really happy when I get like messages from like people that I grew up with, and they're like this is amazing what you're doing. Like, my son's a big fan of you, like, but you have no idea. I've gotten invited everywhere. I've gotten like, bro, I've gotten like offered free tattoos from a tattoo artist because his son is like one of the biggest fans of mine. Like, it's insane to me. Like, and I feel like that's what can make me more happy than just having like, obviously, like I said, money is important, but just, I'm young. My life is gonna keep going. Thankfully, I'm not like broke, bro. Like, I thank God for that. And I have someone, like I said, like my girlfriend, like, beside me, that we always work through everything. She's with me, and just seeing like those messages is like big impact. You know what I mean? Like, it hits you.
Yeah, that's what really makes the whole thing fulfilling.
Exactly.
And no, yeah, I really appreciate that. But you also touched on another subject that we kind of discussed over the weekend, and that is the fact that we're young, and like, you're not scared to really, really get out there and in pursuit of your dreams. We were talking about the different possibilities of places that you were possibly going to go, and evaluating what's the next step for you. What's would maybe scare you the most, if anything, about moving to a whole new place in pursuit of your sports dreams?
If
What's
I'm
the scary part
if
about
I'm
that?
completely honest with you, I've been through it. I've been through the scariest part, and it's not. And again, it's the mental side of it, and it's crazy because you feel like you just don't know what to do anymore. Like, do you do like, so when I first left college, I ended up trying out for these scouts in Europe, and it went really well. I ended up going to Portugal, and I was doing well. They liked me, working on my visa. It takes a while, but while I was there, I just received a call that like my older sister gets in a big accident. So like, that's the who wants to hear that? She's in a coma for months, and then it's just like, you know, what do I do? Like, am I risking to stay here? Or like, obviously, I didn't stay there. Once I found out, the first thing I could do is get back, and I got back, and so I had to stop my visa over there, and it just got so much more tough than it should have. But I mean, it wasn't. It was my least of worries. Once I heard that, like, I wasn't even thinking about that. And it's just like, that's the scariest thing that I think you could say is like, I don't mind leaving to another place. I just see it as another adventure. I want to explore the world, and if soccer's giving me the chance to explore the world, then I'm gonna take it. But that's the scariest thing, is like being away from my family and getting that call again. You know what I mean? Like every time I leave, like my little sister starts crying, like my brothers, like that tears me, you know. But I know that also if I stay where they're at right now, they're living a different life with my mom, and if I stay that my life is just not gonna be like where I fully feel capable of, you know, become like getting stronger and helping them out. But yeah, I think that's the hardest thing there is probably, and you know, like I said, sadly I went through it, but I feel like it made me stronger as well. And
Exactly.
you know
And
what I
that's
mean?
that's also what I wanted to say. All of these experiences always end up making you stronger. And you said it yourself. You've been through the scariest part now. Like you know what that's like. So is it even scary anymore?
It's scary. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I'm more terrified of obviously like, you know, my family like being hurt, passing away or something, but that feeling of like feeling like I wasn't like there for them, or I wasn't there to help, or I could have done something if I was nearby, or I like one like, you know, phone call could have saved it, but I wasn't here, so like I couldn't call them, and like it was only a certain times I could call them from over there, you know. It is just like so many things going through your head that like you just don't know where you are in life at that point. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, damn, like okay, what do I do now? Like, am I gonna restart all over, change my whole like direction, or do I use this as like a strength for myself and do it for her now, do it for the family, you know, do it, you know? So it's like I said, you have to be mentally strong, and you have to know what you want to do and how you want to do it, and like I said, if this doesn't take me where I want to go, I am just grateful for like what I'm living right now. I know I'm doing what I love, and I can't ask for anything else, to be honest with you. You know, it's getting me food in the every day. It's getting me, you know, I have a roof over my head. I have a bed to lay in at least, and you know, I've been through worse, obviously, and you know, I'm. It's just grateful to be doing what I love. You know.
Exactly. At the end of the day, there is a silver lining to everything, and having to go through stuff like this will always work out for the better. In the end, it's tough, and it's very, very tough, and but that's just how tough you're gonna be after it as well.
No, yeah, of course.
So, kind of switching gears here a little bit. Something else that I was talking to you about over the weekend was just the media in general, and how there's this very weird connotation that the media is out to get you guys as athletes, when really that's not the case at all, or it shouldn't be the case at all, should I say. There's a lot of people out there who are willing to say and do anything just to get a headline out of you guys as athletes. And I remember a while ago we were also talking about like a fake news story that came out of you, that you had like problems with people on your team and you had to put out like a little message saying, nah, that's not true. Any crazy stories with the media like that?
Ah man, it's all the time with them, especially it's like, how can I explain to you? My career has been, how can I say it? Like I'm telling you, it's not normal. It's like the way that my career has been going and has happened. It's insane. Like I go from a kid playing in college, going to Europe, and then COVID hits. So I go to this league, lower league in the U.S. That's the only league that's going on. And then the national team comes up. I get my first call up, and like I end up not playing any minutes. And then I start one random game. And I ended up winning the game for us, like 2-1 against Honduras. And like that was the biggest like game probably that changed my career. That like it's insane because like obviously people are gonna hate on that because like literally like it looks like I didn't work for it, you know, like it looks like I was just like a lucky man, lucky
Standing
guy
at the right place at the right time.
exactly. But just people just don't know what goes behind the scene, and it's just like that's a frustrating part for me. But again, in anything you're gonna ask me in the sport, I'm gonna go back to the mental strength. I'm gonna go back to like being mentally like focused on what you want. And I will admit it, at the very beginning, it did get to me, like getting to see all these people like just talk shit, just talk so much shit, and like I'm like, do I want this? Like mentally, I was like this is like the negative vibes I just don't like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like drowning and stuff. But like I said, it makes you stronger. It really does make you stronger. It's how much effort are you trying to put into something that like someone it doesn't. I put zero effort into something that's not benefit. Are they paying me? Are these people putting food in my plate? Are these people like getting my family out of where we're, the trenches?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not doing anything for me. So why should I care about what they're saying? But they don't get that. But I understand that this is their job. I understand this is how they make their money. This is how they make their food. So I don't get completely mad. I just ignore it at this point. You know what I mean? Like, they talk, but the one thing is my family. Like, they do see that and they do call me. Like, it's just insane. Like, this past season when I got injured, like I ended up getting a concussion, and they put that I was in a coma for like, and like my family was going insane. Like, they were calling me, and I'm like, no, I'm okay. I just have a concussion, but I can't talk right now. My head's like banging, and yeah, like even my grandma was just there right now, and she was going insane. She said she's like, Mijo, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was trying to find all these pills to calm me down. She's like, I was like, bro, like, why do you have to do that? No, but that's what I'm saying, man. Like, it's just at this point, like I tell them, like, just ignore it. If you guys have a question, just ask me. You guys have my number for a reason. And if the people that don't, then that's for a reason as well. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have my number, if you don't know anything about me, then just that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to get to know me, my Instagram is wide open. Message me. It's fine. Like, I'm not gonna like be an asshole and like not talk to someone. That's not how it works for me. But yeah, bro, it's just like ignoring, to be honest. But yeah, like these guys said I was in a coma, man. Like, and the worst thing about it is like that's what I'm telling you about. Like, my sister was in a coma, Exactly. So like that scared my family like to death. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, they just take it overboard sometimes, and like. And then the worst thing is like when they do ask me and I know that they already public something that is not right, I just ignore them or I say no thank you. So that makes them think like I'm a cocky guy that doesn't want to say anything. But like they don't know me, and I'm not gonna talk to someone that like basically just like already talking shit about me. You know what I mean? Like why? So if like I have one good friend that's a good reporter, like he does honest things, and I'm like, yo. Like, he asked me a question, I'll be like, just don't put this out. You know what I mean? If you do it, that's the last thing you're gonna hear from me. So he respects that. I respect that for him, and like he earned my respect. So I talk to him every now and then, and I'm like, yo, it's good to go. Like, you can say it. He's the first guy to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that's all I need. It's just that one good reporter, and then everyone else can like it's insane. It's insane. I don't know how to explain it to you.
That's funny. And while we're in the topic of, the Guatemala team and everything that happens and everything that goes on, you guys came to play here in South Florida against, who was it? That one game that went on to like 30,000 penalties?
Oh, Guyana.
Yeah, Guadalupe, yes. And it was funny because I had a chance to hang out with you at the hotel, and it was a very interesting experience to kind of immerse myself into what you guys go through basically on a day-to-day basis. That travel, having your roommates and like hanging out in the room, while you're away. It was very, very interesting because it gives you a much deeper understanding on why you have the bond that you have with your teammates and why the concept of a team works. And can we talk about your teammates for a little bit? Can you name a few, if possible, of those teammates that really shaped you into who you are as a player today? Who are those influential teammates that you can be like, you know what? Kudos to that guy because he really helped me out.
Well, so like there's a couple of them, to be honest. Like, but when I first got there, I'm not gonna like lie. Like, it's hard, coming back to our culture when we're being out for so long, calling me el gringo, calling me el americano, like, you know what I mean? So like they gave me a little bit of shit, but like it's just like adapting back to it. So like my Spanish wasn't really good when I first got there. I was learning. Like, the only person I would talk to in Spanish was my grandma and my mom here, and they kind of understood English. So like my Spanish was just like there, To
be fair, to be completely honest with you, sometimes I would see the stuff that you would post on social media in Spanish. And I would be like, brother, let me type it out for you.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I'm learning, like, I'm still learning. But, like, I'm learning the culture, I'm not learning if it's proper or not. I'm not learning that. I'm learning how we do it. So, for me, that's okay. I don't really care. I don't really care, So, like, as long as, like, it's just me. It's me, you know. It's in my blood, so like that's how I'm gonna be. Yeah, like there's this I can name, let's say, probably like two guys that like Moises Hernandez played in Dallas FC, played in right now he's in the biggest team I think in Guatemala, about to play in a big CONCACAF against Colorado Rapids. He's a really nice guy, but he's American. He literally did what I'm doing now. You know, he played with the U.S. national team, like the U18s, U20s, and but when he got to the first team, he ended up going to the Guatemalan team. So like he had to transition that, you know, a little bit, and so he helped me out a lot. And like I always tell him, you know, like I'm very grateful for like how he helped me, because like if it wasn't for him, like in trainings, first of all, like I didn't understand things, he would explain it to me. Tactics, I had him beside me at all times, like helping me, like on corner kicks, this is what I'm doing. On free kick, this is what I'm doing. Like penalties, like I better be ready, or like stuff like that. When I went into the coach's office, when they called me, like I had him come with me as well, you know, obviously on the low, because like, you know, if the coaches have to tell me something, you know what I mean? So like, it's a lot. He impacted like my career there a lot, and he helped me out a lot, and I'll always be grateful for him for that. And I think I just built another brother, you know, like because of that. But there also is like a couple of guys that are like from Guatemala, play in Guatemala, fully everything, that are like really cool, and like they have family here, so they kind of understood my situation, and they helped me out, you know. But then there's those guys that are like fully Guatemalan, families there, calling me gringo, calling me that, like that, just making fun of me, you know, like showing me the bad words, showing me like telling me jokes, acting like they're having like serious conversations with me, but it's all jokes, you know. Like I'm just like, oh, see, and like everyone behind me is just laughing. I'm like, what's going on? Like I don't know, like I'm serious, you know. But I mean, you gotta make fun. Like, you know, you have to have fun in everything you do, and so like I'm learning, so and I'm catching up little by little.
Speaking of fun, that day that I hung out with you guys at the hotel, I don't know if I told you this story, but this was the night before the game, right? Yeah, because it was the night that you guys had just gone there. It was the night before the game, and I left at nighttime after you guys were finished with your training and everything. You even went up to like the sauna or something. No, the jacuzzi to do like some workouts with the coach over there. And afterwards, when we were leaving, when I was walking out, I'm in the elevator and the fire alarm goes off. Did I tell you this story? No. The fire alarm goes off on like the floors, I guess all the floors. And as I'm walking into the elevator doors open, and mind you, like I'm thinking about it right now, and like the last thing that you're supposed to do in case of a fire is take the elevator.
That is, yeah.
Exactly. I don't know why we took the elevator, but when the elevator doors open, there's this guy in his boxers, and he's just wearing like one of the team shirts from you guys, but he's in his boxers. And I walk in, and he asked me, "Is that the fire alarm?" Like he was like, "Yes, es la alarma de fuego," and I was like, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "Oh, okay. Do you think everything's okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, it should be okay." And when we get to the lobby, this guy walks out in his boxers. And the lady in the lobby is saying, "Oh, everybody calm down. Like, it was just like a mistake. Like, the alarm is not supposed to be going off. There's nothing wrong." So I turn to him and I'm like, "Ah, la señora dice que no pasa nada. Like, everything is fine." She's saying that everything is fine. And the guy in his boxers, like, he was visibly distraught. Like, he was not okay. He was besides himself. And he was like, "Oh, so everything is fine." I'm like, "Yeah, you're fine. You're fine." He goes, "Oh, okay." And he turned around and walked away in his boxers. The next day, obviously, I went to the game, and I was audibly cackling in the stands when I realized that guy who I shared an elevator with, and he was in his boxers, was the coach of the national team.
He was the coach?
Yes.
He was the coach?
He was the head coach of the national team. He freaked out. He got in the elevator in his boxers.
Oh, my God.
I don't think I ever told you that story.
No. You just see it different, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you hear a fire alarm, like, you panic, you're leaving, it doesn't matter. Like, in Guatemala, you wear boxers wherever we get in the water, anything, you know, boxers is what we use. So, like, it wasn't a big thing, but obviously it's different here, you know what I mean? So, like, like, this is crazy, though. He's funny, man. He was a funny guy. Great coach, and, like, he started my career, and I appreciate for that. I always keep in touch with him as well. He's in Costa Rica right now. He's coaching over there right now. Yeah, he's coaching over there. It's going good for him. And I, wish him the best every day they play. And yeah, nice guy, but he was funny. He was super. He's another guy.
Nice boxers too.
Oh my God, you would stare at them too. Bro, yeah, but he was like one of those guys as well that I said, like, even though he was my coach, he would still like give me crap because I didn't understand, you know what I mean? But like when he was serious, I knew he was serious because I would bring my friend with him. He would call my friend, you know, and say, hey, guy, come, I need to tell him this. But if he's talking to me, like I was like, you know, like I'm like, is he serious? He's not serious. And then I would be like, oh, see. And then he just starts laughing his ass off, you know? So like, it was nice. It was a nice time, but like there's a point where, you know, it's the business comes in. Bam. Like we need to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. Thank you. Come again, and then we get another one, you know? So, but yeah, I wish him the best for wherever he's at, and I'll keep in touch with him, and I always do. I'm gonna tell him that story.
He's gonna laugh because he probably saw me, and mind you, like in the hotel, that basically that whole floor was just you guys. So when he saw me like not dressed, he didn't know who I was. Coming out of there, he was probably kind of confused. He was like, "Who is this kid?" But yeah, that was funny. That was a funny time. And kind of just to wrap it up, we've been going on for a while. What's next? You know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on outside of the field. You had a partnership with a clothing brand, no?
I did have a collaboration with Romy, and working on a partnership right now. But right now the priority is basically like, let's see where I'm going next. You know, I get I get calls from teams like, yeah, we're interested. This and that. But this is another part of the business where I'm at. Like, unless you don't get a contract in your face and you like see it like visible, nothing's said and done. Nothing's done. Nothing, like whatever they have been telling you is just does not mean anything. That's the hard part of it right now because like I said, last season I was with the national team, and I get to my club team mid-season, new team. I play one game and then I get injured. That injury right there caused me the whole season, which makes me find another team in the same league a little bit difficult to find. But like I told you, like I said earlier, I'm just grateful for if it's my time, it's my time. I'm not gonna be one of those players to sit here and cry and feel sorry for myself that I didn't make it to where I wanted to be. You know, life goes on, and if it is what it is, then I start planning my plan B. You know, I get to be closer to the family. You know, I get to see them more. I get to hang out with them more. I get to start my business that I've been wanting to start since I was 15. You know, I get to do everything that I've had.
Can you share a little bit about that or not yet?
It's basically, yeah. So if you guys want to like any business, I'll go ahead and tell you now. Yeah. So basically, follow my Instagram, guys, if you want. It's Darwin14. But I'm gonna start. Basically, like I said, you know, we grew up in a town in Atlanta where there's a lot of Hispanics spread out, but it's just in towns where, you know, you have the farmers here, the country people here, like, and I just unfortunately lived in the country, you know, nothing against country people, but it's just not my cup of tea. But it's just with the sport that I have, with the sport I've been to, like soccer's been, you know, really helpful to meet people across the whole town. You know, people congratulate me and I just sit there and talk to them, and I've met really good, nice people. So what I've been trying to do is just basically, you know, bring the old world and the new world. And since I've been in both of the worlds, construction obviously is the old world where we're building houses, but we're gonna need that for the rest of our lives. You know, come and paint. You know, come and fix this light. Redo your whole like bathroom. You know, I did all that when I was 15, 16 years old, and I'm bringing this to like basically. It's just Hispanic people that just have that, you know, but they don't understand the world we live in now. It's all social media. You know, people do everything on social media. So I'm trying to bring that into them and just basically like a partnership of expanding their business with the social media. And eventually what I want to start is have my whole own business of construction and my social media
and
of like
that with a social media plan.
Exactly. So basically, like I have my contact in Atlanta, let's say, and I want to go work here, let's say in Oregon. I know there's a Guatemalan guy there that has a construction, or not even a Guatemalan guy, just a guy that's a fan of soccer.
So your company essentially builds that network.
Expands the construction people that they just don't know how to do it. They want to do it exactly like I just got off the phone with my friend from in Atlanta that has that. He's like, I've been wanting to do that. I just don't know how. Like no one, basically, like everyone I'm friends with just doesn't do that, you know. Either they have their company already built and they have their advertising by themselves, but it's just like I don't know how to grow it myself. Basically, use the brand that I've made with soccer, you know, which I'm very, very grateful for, and use it to help others, you know, obviously myself as well. But that's just, like I said, my plan B. But
not
like
even a plan B, but like it's very, very important, and it's so often overlooked to be able to manage your wealth when you're a professional athlete. Because, mind you, to be a top athlete in a particular sport, you can only do that for so long. It's rare when a sport allows people to perform at the peak of their ability for extended periods of time. So what happens after sports? So you need to have that, it's not even a fail-safe, but just, you know, what's going to happen when you can't play sports at a top level anymore? So that's the importance of having not a plan B, but just something else going on with your life that's going to, you know, sustain you while you're away from sports.
Yeah. And it's something big. Like I said, it's like today at church, like, what is my purpose? Like, I actually really thought about that. Like when the pastor said, like, what is your purpose? And I think my purpose is just, you know, obviously, like, just to basically make people like believe they can do things that they cannot, you know. And I'm very grateful. I got to like patch things up with my dad. You know, you know how we grow up without no dad, we end up hating them. So, you know what I mean? So, but we don't know what happened. That's their business, whatever. I patched things up with him, and I'm very grateful that I did, because this man is the most generous guy. And it's like, yeah, you know, him and my mom, whatever. You know, us as Hispanic kids, we have that. Every single cousin of mine, you know, whatever. So we're used to it. But the thing is, like, I go back to town and like everyone knows me because of him. Obviously, the soccer people know me because of soccer, but like they know me like, you're Darwin's kid, right? He's like such a nice guy. Tell him I said hello. Tell him I said thank you for this that he did for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that like that hits me. You know, like I like when people like appreciate you, like they honor you, like, you know, you can trust that person. Like, obviously not with your deepest, darkest secrets, but like if you need something for one day, like a random day, you know what I mean? Like this person will be there because he will always remember what you did for him. And I think that's my purpose of you know, being here. Like, obviously, like my family, but like more than that, bigger than that, is just like making these kids, this family, like just our kind of like, you know, race believe that there's so much more than just coming here and just working like their ass off. The thing is, like, they work 24/7, and that's what like gets me so mad. I can't go home to my mom because she's just like, Mijo, are you ready to come work? Like, when are you gonna get a job? Like, are you gonna get I'm like, she doesn't understand, you know, like it's because of the mindset, obviously, you know, but it's okay. Like, I explained to her a little bit and she's okay, like she's fine. But yeah, man, I think like it's always really good to have something behind. And obviously, like, I'm not in the European leagues making like 25 million a year, you know, making 230k euros a week. So I gotta be realistic with myself, you know. I gotta be really realistic with myself, and I just gotta like adapt to everything I have and see how it goes, man. And I know, like I always say, man, like everything happens for a reason. So people always ask me, why you never stress if things don't go my way? But what is stress gonna do to me? Like, I understand that it's hard for people sometimes to like not stress about things, but like one thing again, like I've grown so much like stronger, and I feel like mentally, like having my friend there beside me, like basically like helping me through my stressful times, giving me techniques, giving me ways to like just like calm myself down, is just like things that everyone should really like do, honestly. There's always things that like when you're stressed, like there's things that like calm you down, like, you know what I mean, like just breathing techniques or just mindful things. But yeah, I just think like the way that I end up is just meant to be, and God's gonna direct me to the direction he wants to direct me. And if like right now, like I'm waiting for some teams to say something back, you know, I'm not worried. If they're gonna say something, like it'll happen. If not, I'm already planning ahead, you know what I mean? Like I always have that plan ahead. But I'm just, like I said, I'm very grateful for everything that has happened, and and hopefully, I hope it's not the end. I really do, because obviously, like, this is what I lived basically my whole life for. But life goes on, you know. Life goes on, and it's the and if it's time, it's time. But I really like, I'm gonna try my best not to be in the time. But yeah, man, like basically, yeah, like I don't know what else to like say other than that. You know what I mean?
Trust
Like,
me, you said plenty.
it's just. Yeah, it's just a little bit of the world. It's just everyone thinks from the outside. It's so easy. It's so easy. You're a millionaire just because you're a professional. There's players out there
If it was
making
easy,
like,
everybody would be doing it.
Exactly. And if they liked it, everybody would stay in it. That's the thing. Like, people come and be professional, but they see how it really is, and they just leave, and they know they can have a easier life here, better life here. I just don't. I like the competition. I like how it's tough sometimes. I like how the challenges. I like all that, because if it's not for that, then what are you living for? You know, like, just trying to live for a boring life. Wake up, you have the money already. I want to do this. I can do it. Okay, easy as that. Tomorrow, the next day, I want to do this. I'll do it tomorrow. Like, yeah, it's fun and all, but like, you're just gonna run out of things to buy. You're gonna run out of things to do. You're gonna run out of things to, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think like the difficulties of like life is it's what makes life. You know, like, the adventures, it just makes everything so much like more purpose to life, you know. But yeah, man, like, I'm always gonna be grateful for the sport. I'm always gonna be like in love with the sport, and if it goes how it looks like it's going, but when negotiating with the business and all that stuff, I don't know if I even gonna want my kids to do it. Like, I've always said, you know, I want my kid in here, but it's if it keeps going the way it's going, man, it's gonna be really tough for like any sport to be like this. You know what I mean? Like, especially with COVID and like special players having special, like, you know, like that's so crazy to me. He's a big athlete, so he doesn't have to do what everyone else has to do. That's insane to me. Like, you can already see a little bit, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's not even get into that slippery slope. But exactly, we're not naming names. Curry. But yeah, no, it's tough, and I appreciate your analysis and your like, and you being so open to talk about these topics, because that is exactly what we want to communicate to our viewers. You know, you guys have feelings too. You guys go through it too. You know, it's not all, like you said, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Like, oh, I'm a professional athlete, I'm rich, I live this amazing life. It's not like that. Like, everybody goes through it, and everybody has hardships, just like everybody else. So, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing those stories with us. Thank you for your time and for being here. And thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. We will be announcing a giveaway soon, so stay tuned for that. Follow us on social media at cultura.sports. We will be posting more updates on that there. Darwin, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for coming. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Peace.